I'm Brittany Lehman with Business Rockstars, and I'm here with Nick Cannon.
Hey, how are you?
Nick, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Brittany.
So I just want to read off a list, okay, that you have done. Okay. Artist, label and TV executive, producer, creator, TV personality, host, comedian, actor, entrepreneur, philanthropist, activist, and student.
Yes.
So what don't you do?
Origami. What do you call an origami? Is it an origamist?
I don't know. That's a good, I'll have to look that one up.
I suck at folding paper.
Okay, good to know. You have one little flaw, that's nice. And you just released some new singles off of your album, Model Music. Tell me about that.
You know what? It's a fun compilation, and like even when you list off like the title of all the things that I've done or that I take part in, I get that school of thinking from people like Quincy Jones, who probably has like can trump my list by far on how many things he's done in his career. But the thing is, he's one of those people, he's a true curator. And as a producer and a composer, he knows how to bring great artists together. And that's kind of what I did on Model Music. Established artists from everyone from, you know, Quavo, from the Migos to Yo Gotti, Jeremiah, all the way to like all of these new artists that I've signed to my label, like a guy by the name of It's a Movie, Natalie Nicole. But it's kind of cool that we are able to put all of these people together on one project and then put it out this summer.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool.
And you said you also wanted to empower women with this music. One
song specifically. I mean, obviously the entire project is titled Model Music, and I was inspired by like Fashion Week and supermodels and their travels from New York to Milan to, you know, Paris, London, Miami, and I was like, I want to create a soundtrack for that energy, for that vibe. But specifically, there's a song called Motivation that kind of is a twist on like all of the party music and the vibey music, but because it has a true message and that idea of like, it's just to inspire and uplift everyone from like my 6-year-old daughter to my 98-year-old great-grandmother.
That's so great. Yeah. And you're shooting season 12 of Wild 'N Out this summer, and you'll be opening Wild 'N Out restaurants later this year in select cities.
Yeah, that's really exciting. I mean, this is a brand that I created, you know, in 2004. And like I said, you know, I remember being backstage at a comedy club with Kevin Hart and Cat Williams and, you know, all these people who no one had really heard of before and had this idea of like, yo, we should kind of film the fun improv type of energy that we do when we just hanging out. And, you know, over a decade later, we're like 200 episodes in of television and, you know, we're understanding and exploring all of these new verticals from, you know, live touring to, like you said, restaurants, what I'm really excited about to be able to franchise the Wild 'N Out brand into the sports bar arena. And I'm not a restaurateur, but I'm
I was gonna say, now you have to add that to your list.
Yeah, but I'm interested to get into the business, and it's just really cool to see something that, like, the brand of Wild 'N Out, how it's spanned over generations and it's lasted this long, that it's really a household name, and I'm hoping that that brand will go on to even surpass, you know, me, because, like, when you think of, you know, all the great restaurants and stuff, they kind of go on for years and years and years.
And you actually funded the first season, right, of Wild 'N Out?
People didn't understand Wild 'N Out initially when I was like, yo, I want to do a hip-hop improv comedy show. And they're like, what? Like, that doesn't even make sense. So yeah. I had to put my money where my mouth was. And, you know, I gathered some cameras, rented out a comedy club, got my friends together, put my own money up and shot the pilot. And then I was able to present it and show it to, you know, MTV. And by my pilot, they got it, they understood it, but also that gave me the opportunity to have the upper hand in the negotiations and be able to receive the lion's share of the brand and still have ownership in it today.
So would you say that you really had to kind of get people behind your vision to believe in you? I
definitely had to get people behind my vision. I mean, I feel like I'm one of those people. Like, I wave the underdog flag in a big way. I'm never the first bet in my career. I've never been the one that people are like, oh, just let's go get Nick Cannon to do this. It's always like, Nick Cannon, that's an interesting idea, and then I get to surprise them. And I think that's the beauty of an underdog. They never see you coming. So I love that energy. I never want to be in a space where I'm comfortable, where everyone's listening to me.
Right.
You know what I mean? I want to dare to be different. I want that opportunity to people like, I don't get this. Where are you going with this?
Right.
And then I get the opportunity to prove to them like, hey, I told you it was gonna work.
Yeah.
So that's really the narration of my entire career. You know, whether it's film, television, music, comedy, it's always like, really? Oh, wow, that worked. You know?
Yeah.
And I love it. Like I said, I wear the underdog flag in a proud way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how did you decide you wanted to get into restaurants and start that whole endeavor?
I believe it was more about the branding. I mean, and my vision for the Wild 'N Out brand is beyond even just restaurants. But I think that space and having a lot of investors and partners who are familiar and experts even in this world, they saw the potential in like, there's not a space for the young urbanite to be able to go like that caters directly to the same audience that we see on television that love this brand, that grew up with this brand, to be able to give them that same sports bar type of experience. So, but even from there, like I said, like the restaurants are great, but I also see like my goal is to have a Wild 'N Out school in that same way like Second City or Groundlings. So there's institutions that can teach improv, but then at the same time, educate and create an incubation system of young entertainers to come. And so, you know, that'll be my next endeavor after the restaurants, the comedy clubs, then the schools.
That's very smart.
Yeah.
When did you consider yourself an entrepreneur, would you say?
I was birthed as an entrepreneur, honestly. I mean, I came up under a lot of people in my family and my community, from my father, who was an entrepreneur at heart in the world of ministry, who had to kind of start his own ministry and public access television shows. He was one of those guys that you would see late at night or early Sunday morning with the television shows on your local cable channels. And, you know, so that energy is where it started, but also understanding like the hustle that my dad had in order to put food on the table and to, you know, walk in what he believed in. And I think that then birthed it in me. And, you know, like I said, I was the same guy. I was selling my artwork and lemonade and all of that stuff at like 6, 7 years old. And then my first endeavor and real business endeavor was probably around age 14 or 15, where I had some local investors help me out to fund my music projects and build a studio. And, you know, I started selling music independently. And from there, you know, from $1,000, $2,000 to create $20,000 to create $100,000 and so on and so forth. So that was probably where it really, really started to. I was like, oh, I can make money with my art.
Right.
And, you know, really creating something out of nothing.
Now you can be a role model to your children.
Hey, I hope so. I just want my children to have drive. I mean, they're brilliant. They are definitely of the abstract way of thinking like their parents. Yeah. But it's that thing is like, you got to instill drive, because the millennials, the post-millennials, Generation Z can sometimes, because they have access to so much that it feels like, oh, it's just coming to them, that I don't know if they have the same drive as the generations previous to them.
It's true.
Yeah, so that's the thing I encourage. And you know, things like sports, or even, you know, just any extracurricular activities that you could give to your kids, that is something that I feel like they'll get outside of their normal education. It's like, yo, work towards something, work hard at something. And that's even why I often say I really don't want my children to be entertainers, because I feel like that's easy for them.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's the family business. You know, like I want them to get out and explore, fall on your face a couple of times, do something that is difficult that people don't expect you to do. And therefore, I think that creates a lot of character and a lot of, you know, understanding of perseverance.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, Nick, stay right there. Don't go back. We'll be right back. We're about to take a quick break.
Let's do it.
I'm Brittany Lehman with Business Rockstars, and I'm here with Nick Cannon. I'm Brittany Lehman with Business Rockstars, and I am joined by Nick Cannon. Nick, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So, do you feel like the transition from the entertainment world to the business world was hard for you, or did it kind of all mesh together?
To me, it's all the same. I'm blessed enough to wake up each and every morning, and my job is to be creative, to think outside the box. So whether it's a song, a script, or a new business opportunity, I'm using the same part of my brain, and it's just really figuring out, how to bring it all together. And at the end of the day, as we all know, it's to generate income. So it's all in one. You know what I mean? That's why I created the title entrepreneur.
Right.
Just because I felt like, that's my makeup. You know what I mean? I'm half entrepreneur, half entertainer, and to be able to, thrive through my artistry is my goal in life.
And do you have that trademarked?
I do believe I do have entrepreneur trademark.
Okay, good. Very good. And you're also the founder of Incredible Entertainment.
Yes.
Tell me about that, and tell me about your really cool headphones.
Yeah, Incredible is a multimedia company and also a consumer electronics company. I mean, I started probably at least 2009, and since 2010 to date, we've sold over $100 million in headphones.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's been really cool to be able to watch the wave kind of come and go. Like every entertainer had headphones for a minute, kind of following that giant Beats by Dre, trend. But, Incredible has stood the test of time, and it's still one of the top selling headphone brands in the country.
And people could find that at Radio Shack also, right? Radio
Shack, your local mobile stores, the airports, anywhere you can get electronics, Incredible headphones will be there.
We have a big entrepreneurial audience, so for those listening, could you give 3 pieces of advice to someone starting, growing, or funding a business?
Oh, only 3?
More if you top 5. Challenge accepted.
Yeah, I kind of go in an order. I say the first thing you got to be is a self-motivator. Because there's so many naysayers, and people don't understand the power of the voice, the power of the tongue, the power of speaking things into existence. You have to speak against all negativity and create it, and by doing that, I always tell people, get in the mirror, just say what you are. Right. Give yourself a title. You know what I mean? And start to speak that. Motivate yourself. Set goals. And then once you have that, and you have the belief, and you have the faith in what you're doing, then the next step is probably the most important step, is being a self-generator. You have to have a corresponding action to all of the goals that you set. So, after you wrote it down and, spoke it into the mirror and all that stuff, now you have to generate. You can't sit there and wait for someone else. And I love the word generator, because when you think about what a generator actually is, it creates power. Right. It doesn't sit around and wait to be plugged into something. It is the source. And there's so many opportunities, whether if it's in the media. We have the DIY community to where you can shoot it yourself. You can make millions of dollars off of your phone. You can create an app. You can do all this. So to generate it on your own and not wait on anyone else, because people are attracted to success. People are attracted to the train that's moving. You know what I mean? If you're stagnant, nobody's gonna want to ride. But if you're moving, they're gonna try to catch on with you. So once you've spoken everything into existence and you motivated yourself, then you created the self-generation. And then the third thing would be to now you have to engage, and you have to share that message. You have to spread it. And that's the trickiest part. And I wouldn't even tap into it marketing, because I often say self-marketing, but it's more about engagement beyond self. Totally. Like once you have it, if it's your product, if it's your passion, your art, it's sharing it and selling it to others. And you have to do it in such a unique fashion that no one sees it coming, and no one else is doing it your way. Right. If you can do those 2 things, success is out of here.
I feel like we're going to see a Nick Cannon entrepreneurial DIY kit coming out soon.
One day at Radio Shack. No,
Yeah.
no, I would say, like, you know, that's the one thing I find it real touchy, though, because as much advice as I can give, I'm still learning every day, and I know nothing. I'm just going off of the things and the experiences that have helped me along the way.
Yeah.
And so I would never say you have to do it this way, because even in that last thing that I discussed, to do it in a unique fashion and never let them see you coming, that means you have to do it differently.
Right.
You know what I mean? So my way is not gonna work for the next person. And again, like you use the word, you know, disrupting. That's definitely the way to get everyone's attention. And to be a disruptor, you have to do it differently.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Nick, thank you so much for joining us.
No
This was such a fun conversation.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I'm Brittany Lehman with Business Rockstars, and we were joined by Nick Cannon.